let's move on to our next questions, which is the statement that you have gave in an article published by Port News, published on January 15th. You stated that in a time of crisis and challenges, in a complex situation, could you share with us, the strategy Alix International SRL used to adapt among the challenges posed by geopolitical situation?
I was interviewed this Monday by a journalist, and I used to have two different interviews, and the magazine they used to contact me for a point of view because actually I studied diplomacy at the university, and I wanted to be a diplomat, but then I changed my mind. I spent 6 months in United States at the Embassy of Italy, and I made an internship there, but at the end I preferred to focus in another industry. I really didn't have a good impression of diplomacy. I was thinking was more, focus on solving conflicts and blah blah, but it was a lot of bureaucracy. So I said, okay, it's not what I want to do in my life, and even I want to travel whenever I want. I don't want to be forced to move every 4 years. By the way, I had this interview regarding Suez crisis and what is happening now, and the situation is very complicated, and as you can imagine. Actually, I focus on China because this year is very different. What is happening before Chinese New Year? Because normally we have a lot of shipments, we cannot find space. It's always a struggle to get space and rates. Actually, this time it's very slow, the market. I think China is facing a crisis, even because United States are boycotting China. They are having a foreigner policy very strong against China, and even some of my customer had refused of order because it was written made in China on the label. So I think now China is facing a crisis as well. There are no shipments. I have many Chinese freight forwarder begging me to give shipments to open my market to them. So China is still in crisis, and we can see it. Actually, the ocean freight before the fact of Suez were too low. So this crisis actually help the industry to rise up the freights, the ocean freights, and of course for us is oxygen. Even the cause that provoke the increase is not nice, because a war, of course, is not a good thing in my opinion. So Suez at the moment, in my opinion, is very dangerous. Even if US, UK are starting to bombing Yemenite Houthis, and they are trying to give security of the international global market, it's not still secure. So I don't sell any shipments by shipping lines that used to pass Suez at the moment, because it's too risky. So we have now selling three ways to ship, which is the first one is by sea, through Cape Good Hope. And the second one is the train that I mentioned before, because train is still a good option, and by air, of course, trying to sell maybe long way flights, maybe with two transshipments, so with the good rates as well. And so the situation is very delicate. Moreover, in Taiwan, there was the election. So we have a new president, and it's clearly against the China invasion. So we have to look what Chinese will do, because to attack Taiwan now, it means to go once again against Europe and against US. And now Europe to Chinese is very important because it's a strategic market now. Then US lately abandon, the Chinese shippers and the Chinese production. So it will be a big question mark to see what will happen in the next months this year, because Chinese are in the middle of the desire to attack Taiwan. And Taiwan is a very important market for microchips, for technologies. They have a lot of shipments and a lot of good skills on that field, which is a very important field, of course. We all have a mobile phone, and we are using a lot of technologies. So the future will be this. So Chinese are very interested on Taiwan for this. But in another side, they will, of course, go once again against Atlantic part of the world, US, Europe, UK. So let's see. In my interview, I underlined this aspect of the crisis, and we hope, of course, the war will end up very soon, because we don't want an escalation, but escalation could be a consequence. So we are still looking at the global situation every day with interest for even our future and our shipments as well.
Thank you very much for your valuable insights. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank
Have
you. My pleasure.